With the Jussie Smollett investigation advancing rapidly tonight, let's go straight to our Mike Tobin standing by in Chicago. Mike.
Well, Shannon, Jussie Smollett went from star to suspect in just a matter of weeks. Charged with disorderly conduct, filing a false police report, a felony. His legal team has issued a statement. It reads as follows. Like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys a presumption of innocence, particularly when there has been an investigation like this one, where information, both true and false, has been repeatedly leaked. Given these circumstances, we intend to conduct our thorough investigation and mount an aggressive defense. The Ossundario brothers, once considered potential suspects, testified for 2.5 hours before a grand jury today. Their attorney says they were paid in the alleged hoax, but the payment does not fit the narrative we know publicly. She says the brothers are speaking to investigators because they determined the truth needs to come out.
There was never a change of heart. There was a point where this story needed to be told, and they manned up and they said, you know what, we're going to correct this. So plea deal, immunity, all of that, they don't care about that.
Gloria Schmidt says Smollett must have trouble sleeping tonight and needs to come clean. Police say they are in contact with Jussie Smollett's legal team to try to negotiate a reasonable surrender. He's got a bond hearing tomorrow at 11:30 local time. I should say 1:30 local time. Shannon.
All right, Mike, we know you were on it. Thank you very much, working around the clock on this.
You got it.
Major new developments in the Jussie Smollett investigation. Chicago police have announced Smollett is officially a suspect in a criminal investigation for filing a false report.
Good.
Meanwhile, stunning new surveillance video obtained by CBS Chicago has surfaced, reportedly showing two brothers at the center of the case buying what is believed to be a red hat and ski masks the day before the attack. This is prosecutors in Chicago are meeting with Smollett's lawyers. Mike Tobin, outside criminal court in Chicago with the latest. Mike.
And this is all happening very fast and furious. You just mentioned moments ago the Chief Communications Officer, Anthony Guglielmi for the Chicago PD, says that Jussie Smollett is now a suspect for a Class 4 felony falsifying a police report. We know that's punishable by a maximum of 3 years. This while we have just learned from people who have been staking out the grand jury room on the 4th floor that the Ossundario brothers have gone back inside for round 2 inside the grand jury room. It seemed to be kind of a false start with the grand jury yesterday, and again the people who have been staking out the grand jury room says the brothers are inside at this moment as the case moves forward on a day when we now have surveillance video coming to us from WBBM Channel 2 here in Chicago, and this is a security video from what we're told by employees of the Crafty Beaver is inside of their store, and it shows these individuals buying things like ski masks, what looks to be a red hat. We know of the inventory that was taken from the apartment where the Ossundario brothers we're staying here in Chicago. One of the items on that inventory is a red hat, and that could have very well played a role in what is now shaping up more and more to have been a hoax attack in this case. So we now have Jussie Smollett has been listed as a suspect in this case officially, according to the Chief Communications Officer. This long-standing request for police to have a conversation with Smollett, that has not been realized. He never showed up for this follow-up interview. We have some information that lawyers for Smollett and police met today. The Sun-Times has indicated that meeting is going on right now. The clarification we have through the official police channels is that meeting happened this morning, but never the conversation that they want to have with Smollett. Jesse?
Thanks a lot, Mike. All right, Emily, I believe the prosecutors have to go hard on this Class 4 felony. They have to prosecute him. They can't just drop this, because if they don't go hard on him, it's going to send a message that you can get away with this stuff and not pay a price.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's prosecutorial discretion there in Illinois. They could have pursued it as a misdemeanor. They have the option for filing a false police report.
They bumped it up.
Exactly. So that speaks for itself right there. And, you know, those crimes are classified as they're crimes against public justice. It is taken really seriously because it is. There should absolutely be zero tolerance for and a strong message sent when people do this, especially in the level of fabrication that, you know, we are seeing allegedly went into this. That level of pro-action and creating this entire dramatic thing and roping in other people. I mean, yes, it absolutely should have dire consequences for sure.
Juan.
So Mike Tobin's still with us, I think. Mike? Mike, are you there? Well, maybe not.
I'm here.
Oh, Mike. So, Mike, as I understand it, there was pressure being put to bring Smollett into the grand jury, but today, apparently his lawyers spoke to the Cook County attorneys and they said, okay, he doesn't have to come in. I wondered, is he sick? What was the mitigating factor or the exculpatory factor that would lead the Cook County officials to say he didn't have to appear before the grand jury?
Because they can do it without him.
I think it's more of a situation where you have, you can get this through the legal community, that any good lawyer, if he's going to insist that he did nothing wrong, any good lawyer is going to tell him, don't go in for that meeting, because all they're going to want to do in the course of that meeting is catch him in a lie. And all indications are that something is amiss in this case. So I don't know if it's necessary exculpatory evidence that gets involved in that, but when you had this sudden halt to the process yesterday and the Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx recusing herself, you may have some kind of evidence that was introduced yesterday. And should be noted that the Tribune is running a report right now saying the reason that she has suddenly recused herself is because she got pretty close with the family during the initial stages when everyone thought that Jussie Smollett was the victim of a hate crime.
Thanks, Mike. Dana, you know what's crazy about this whole thing and how sociopathic this guy Smollett is? If they had arrested two innocent guys, he would have said, yeah, these are the guys, and he would have been okay with putting away innocent men
Did you watch
for a
The
long
Five
time.
yesterday?
No.
I made that point.
Oh, you did?
It's a great point.
Great minds think alike, Dana.
And also, I have a question. These guys work in television. They work on a very successful show, Empire. They obviously probably watch a lot of TV. They probably watch a lot of movies. Like, do they not think for 1 second that there's going to be a video camera where in the hardware store? Do they not think that there's not going to be like all of these questions? I just feel like he was willing to put other people away for something that also was like very poorly done.
Yeah.
As far as a hoax goes, he must have just truly believed that the media was just going to believe every word that he said, and then he was going to be protected from that. But I'm glad the police are pursuing it. I think it's good.
Great actor, terrible criminal.
Yeah, you know, I don't see how what he did is not considered a hate crime. Yeah. Because it actually is would have hurt a group of people. And to your point,
all Trump supporters.
And us, and to
millions of Americans.
Bear with me, Juan. Bear with me. I listen to you. This is a hate crime, and to your point, that's despicable. That he would have let two people go to jail. He should go away for 20 minimum 20 years. And I think, you know, people accuse people like me of dunking on the libs over this. No, what you're seeing is vindication. Remember, us, the people that aren't liberals, are vindicated because any kind of tangential link to Trump, if you don't believe this story, then you're part of the problem. Everybody should be pleased that a hate crime didn't happen because it means we're less racist than the media wants us to be. And I don't care about Smollett anymore. He's dirt. I'm more pissed off at how the media did this, and they got to pay a price too.
Well, I'm glad to know it's all about you.
No,
really am.
No. You missed my point, Juan. But that's usual. That's usual for you.
Let me just tell you, I think this guy is mentally ill.
Oh, that's his excuse.
He's nuts. So if you want to politicize and say, oh, it's a political thing and it vindicates the Trumpians.
He politicized it.
He politicized. It was a political act. For God's sake. He did this on purpose. He had been. We didn't even talk about the magazine with the letter with the crushed aspirin. That's a terroristic threat.
That's right. Is that what he's being charged for?
No,
filing a false report.
But he should be filed for that because I think the FBI is looking into that as a terroristic threat.
He put him away for a long time.
He should be pursued for all of it, especially that terroristic threat, as we were talking about before. There's no such thing as joking or a hoax when it comes to that. That's 100%. Every single threat is taken seriously by law enforcement, as there was at the time when a hazmat team was deployed, etc. Also, when you said he may be mentally ill, I'm not going to speak to that, but to the fact that he has a prior from 2007 in California for false impersonation, a DUI, and driving without a valid license. When he was pulled over for driving under the influence, he said he was his brother and faked that. So this is not
willing to let his brother go. Jeez.
Jesus.
Yes, exactly.
I've had it with this guy.
Not a good older brother either.
Let's go to attorney and Fox News contributor Emily Compagno. She's here along with Insider Politics reporter John Haltiwanger and former State Department spokesperson and co-host of Benson and Harf on Fox News Radio. It is Marie Harf. We were on the Outnumbered Couch today, and now here we are at the Plexiglass Oval. Welcome, everyone.
I love it.
Of course, I'm going to defer to our legal mind, our resident lawyer in all of this. What could Jussie Smollett be facing based on the charges from Chicago PD?
Up to 3 years in prison and a $25,000 fine. And I want to point out that in the state of Illinois, they had prosecutorial discretion whether to pursue this as a misdemeanor or a felony. And the fact that they're pursuing this as a Class 4 felony.
What does that say to you? What does that mean?
Speaks volumes in and of itself that they mean business. And these crimes, the alleged crime here, but the crime of filing a false police report, that's considered a crime against public justice. Meaning that's why law enforcement takes it so seriously, because it's against public justice to have people do this. So the consequences are severe, and here the DA is pursuing it as such.
It's very interesting. Now, I just assume he's not going to get any jail time, because I think actors in this country, by and large, you know, they can afford better lawyers who argue their way out of real trouble, unlike people who get into the system and have a really hard time extricating themselves for years and years. But if he is convicted, he may have to pay for the entire investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. These are very serious allegations. And I think one of the larger stories here that we can point to is the narrative that surrounded this story beyond the trouble that he'll be in specifically. There's a lot of issues here for, I think, the left in general and the media in terms of how this story was approached and kind of the outrage machine and how it drove the narrative and pushed the story. And he was kind of tried in public court rather than, you know, the issue of due process here.
But I think he knew that, because if this story were true, it would be outrageous. It would be unconscionable. And it's hard to fathom that we live in a country where stuff like that can happen. It can happen. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. And I think that's why people had the reaction to it. But then, you know, you go to the next level. He's no longer a victim. Now he's been charged. He's been indicted with on a felony charge, on a felony count here. So what is the motivation for someone like that?
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see if that comes out during a trial. And the real tragedy here, one of the real tragedies, is that hate crimes in this country statistically are on the rise. Anti-Semitic attacks are on the rise. It is a problem. And for someone to claim that this happened falsely, to make it up, to concoct this whole story, makes it harder for real victims, I think, to be believed and possibly to get justice. So we will see if this is just someone who wanted attention for himself, wanted to be the victim, if he really just is, I don't want to use the term crazy, but is mentally challenged in some way. There's also reporting now that the police are looking into whether he faked the initial letter that he received, a threat.
I mean, but that's what's so
They're
interesting.
also looking into that now as well, so this could be a pattern.
And the brother said he was really upset that the letter didn't get more traction in the press, but now the brothers are saying, and he also made us write the letter.
So this is a pattern.
Yes, and just to point something out about that letter, as you guys know, just like when you go through TSA, jokes, it doesn't matter if you're joking or not. So a terroristic threat letter is taken seriously no matter what. That, it has so much far serious consequences beyond just this filing false police report.
If it is, if they find that he was in fact the one responsible for either directing the brothers to craft the letter or he had a big part in that, will that mean extra charges?
100%. So much more serious than the filing of false
is that a federal charge since it was over the mail?
Yes, it is. And also, when you said, is there a pattern? Remember, in 2007, he was charged with, let's say, false identity, impersonation.
A DUI, he gave
DUI,
his,
exactly.
Yeah, he gave his brother's name.
His brother's name and signed the court appearance documentation as such. So certainly there was kind of evidence of a pattern before this, unfortunately.
So bizarre.
Who's a bigger liar, him or Andy McCabe?
I'm not going to get into that. Let's remain on top.
Haltiwanger, you're getting into it. That's a plexiglass oval.
I'm not going to get into that, but I'm going to say you made a very good point here. I mean, the most recent FBI report on hate crime showed that there was a 17% increase. This followed an increase the past 3 years. So we've seen hate crimes increase over the past 3 years. And when somebody comes up here, and we don't know all the facts on this case yet, but we're certainly pointing to the conclusion that he perhaps made all of this up.
Okay, but the weirdest thing is, he's still sticking with the story. His lawyers tonight are like, hey guys, don't charge him. He's the victim of a hate crime.
Right. So there's clearly something wrong with
At what point does he turn and go, you know what, my bad?
Well, it seems to me like his whole theory has been he didn't think he would get caught. And he didn't think anyone would ever get caught for this, quote, crime if he in fact made it up. And now I think he's probably continuing to play that game out. But you're right. At what point does he say, okay, the jig is up here? I mean, he will.
Perhaps he thought the narrative was on his side.
Perhaps as a plea, part of a plea agreement.
And people dig in, you guys, when the government is coming, when the government turns around and shifts its eye of Sauron onto you, people dig in and freak out. And so while it seems calmly discussing it, why wouldn't he just, oh, okay, you're right. In that level of, he is panicking.
He's rolling in the deep. I know, Adele.